Gas.
Oh, we're live.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Gullah House Show. Today, I'm Roger Gas, also known as Baba Chemo, Chief Elder of the Gullah Nation of North America, along with my co-host and cousin, Chief Mansafude Ajamu from Freetown, Sierra Leone, West Africa.
That's
Today,
right. That's
today we
right.
have
That's right.
today we have a dynamic speaker and guest. She is the founder of the Urban Community Education Network and Training Facility here in Orangeburg. Has a big personality. We're gonna let her do her thing, and we would like you to welcome Dr. Celeste Davis.
All right. Good
Greetings,
morning
greetings.
again. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, good.
All
Um,
right.
Go ahead.
Well, Ms. Davis, we're gonna ask you some questions. You let you do your thing.
hmm
And my first question to you is tell us a little bit about yourself and how and your vision of creating the center.
Thank you so much. Well, first of all, good morning. Thank you all so much for even considering and thinking of me and bringing me on. This is definitely a pleasure. So, yes, I'm Celestial Davis. My classmates, people who grew up with me, know me as Celeste. I am originally from Orangeburg, South Carolina. I just relocated back here after like 5.5 years. I was in Augusta, Georgia for 3.5 years, and before then, Greensboro, North Carolina, for 2 years. Um, so let's see a little bit about myself. I have 4 children and a niece
Okay.
that I raised, ages 31, 27. My one and only son,
Ooh,
that's my boy.
I hear you.
Tennille, he's 20, and my niece is 16, and my baby is 10. I've been married for 18 years with my husband for 21 years, February of this year. And he is also a native of Orangeburg, South Carolina. I was educated in the schools right here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I graduated from Orangeburg Calhoun Community College that I currently work at, which is awesome. I'm also a graduate of Claflin University and South Carolina State University. So I do believe in the promise of education. I took advantage of what was right here in our little small city of Orangeburg, South Carolina, small but powerful. And I have a relatively small family, but we're very powerful in our own rights. I was brought up in the church. That's about all I knew coming up was the church. So I'm really probably just over the last 10 or 15 years are really trying to come into myself, into my purpose that God has brought me here to do. So I'm a country girl, very down to earth, very outspoken. I used to have a big mouth, but I have a big voice now. I have a
Yes,
big
ma'am.
voice where I speak for a lot of people who otherwise would not even have a voice. So that goes, I guess, takes us right into the purpose of my learning center.
Yes.
I can remember ever since I was 15 years old. My mother, she was very sick in the hospital. And while they were caring for her, I remember seeing other people coming into the emergency room getting bad news about their family members. And I always just felt the need to go and, just say an encouraging word to them. So this is something that has been in me for since I was a little girl. And I'm just able, to come around and give birth to it over these last 7 to 8 years. As you know, Mr. Gas, Mr. Camo, my passion is youth,
Yes.
and particularly young Black males. 2004, um, I was at South Carolina State University, right here in Orangeburg, and a young lady I know, she has some grandchildren she's taking care of because her daughter,
Hmm.
unfortunately, was caught up in that crack cocaine crisis that really swept through the South in the late 80s and 90s. But she had these two young grand boys she's taking care of. And I remember asking her, Miss Stevenson, can I take these young boys under my wings? Because she was an older lady, she's working, she didn't have the kind of time in, that they needed, in absence of their mother and their father. And she told me yes. But because I was really, taking care of my family, working full time, going to school, running a household. Of course, I didn't get to do just what I wanted to do with them. And long story short, later on, one of those young men is now doing a 35-year sentence, and the other one, he's looking at a long sentence himself for kidnapping and some other things. So the concern has been there for a long time. And I've just been able to manifest some things that I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. So, how did I get to the Learning Center, to my school? Urban Community Education Network and Training Center. It's a dedicated African American male research center and Family Promise Village University. So that's a lot.
Yes.
That's a lot. But I'll start with the mentoring program. So last year, we launched an initiative called Answering Our Clarion Call, a national plea for action to save young Black males.
I remember that.
That clarion call was trying to bring awareness, trying to galvanize and mobilize like-minded individuals to one common purpose, one unified cause. So the call to the clarion call, the categories was, of course, the focus was education and literacy. Just simply put, our young people are not reading. They can't read even on a basic level. And most of them are in our public education system.
Right.
And I'll get to this a little later, but just one caveat right here in Orangeburg, South Carolina, that I know so well.
Uh-huh.
We have private charter schools, for example, High School for Health Professions. Their graduation rate is 100%, meaning the individuals that start out the ninth grade, they graduate in the 12th grade, all of them. We have a private school, Orangeburg Preparatory School System.
Right.
They have a 100% graduation rate. Everyone that started out in the ninth grade, they go on and they graduate in the 12th grade. And that's wonderful.
That's right.
We have the Orangeburg Christian Academy right here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. They have a 100% graduation rate. Okay. Our high school that I graduated from, 1991, Orangeburg Wilkerson High School, they have a 50 to 55% graduation rate.
Oh, wow. That's
where the opportunity is. That's where the disconnect is. That's where the gap is. So that's a part of the clarion call. That is an alarm. Everyone should be concerned, and that's not an indictment on the teachers. The teachers are overwhelmed. They're doing the best that they can, but it's something that has not been working, and it's just not happening. This has been going on for years. Most public education school systems are running off an archaic system that was designed in the 1920s.
Right.
It's not going to work for children here in the 2000s. This is a very different generation. So I do hold the administrators responsible because they have they have the ears of our state superintendents who can change these curriculums, things that they know are not working. The teachers in the classroom, when they get a group of standards that they want to work to and teach to over the summer, they get, notice from the powers that be, well, we got to do this now. We have to do that. And these changes are being put in place on our children by individuals who have not even held a conversation with them. They don't go into the communities, in the neighborhoods, and ask the parents, what do your child need? They're basing policies off numbers, off something that might work in Boston, Massachusetts, who has the #1 public education school system in the United States. South Carolina used to be 47th. We're now 44th, 45th. I don't know if that's good or if that's bad. It's still nothing to be proud of. So the
Right.
clarion call, education and literacy. When our children read well, they do well. Readers are leaders. All right. So that's a big focus of the clarion call. And then, of course, gang violence, incarceration. Here in the United States, 330 million people. We are 14% of the population, 14.2%. However, as you probably already know, when it comes to our incarceration here in the United States,
Very high.
we're 40%. Some states like Louisiana, 60 to 70% on
Mhm.
any given day. And that is not including our young boys and girls that are in the Department of Juvenile Justice in those detention centers. So that was another caveat of answering the clarion call. And then, of course, the mental health crisis, which over the last year and a half, we are really doing better with the awareness and bringing people into the conversation that needs to be. When I started the clarion call, 1 in 4 young people were reporting symptoms of depression, mental health issues. About 2 years later, it's now 1 in 5. So that's about a 5% difference. And if those institutions hold true that report that data, that's really a positive. But those were some of the focuses of the clarion call, the fentanyl crisis. And again, we wanted to bring awareness and galvanize the parents into these conversations because a lot of people, they just don't know. Um, a lot of people don't do a lot of reading like I do, a lot of research like I do. So if you're not reading this, you don't know how profound these situations are. So, as a means to the clarion call, how do we fix? How do we arrive at solutions? Um, that's when I came up with our mentoring program. Gave birth to that. RAP. We are at promise. And we are at promise came about instead of always saying our children are at risk for something. And I know what individuals mean or organizations mean when they say that. We want to put this in place. We want to do this because these kids are at risk for this. Low income neighborhoods, disadvantaged, don't have the resources that the communities with the judges and the doctors and the lawyers might have. So instead of saying they're at risk, we wanted to say, invite them into a space of promise. We are at promise. It's an African American male mentoring program. And of course, I'm not a male, but I do a lot of coordinating and I have a lot of networking, just as I'm doing with you all, with like minded individuals who are strong in the community, who are battle tested, who have been through things themselves,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
now into a space where they can look back and help some other young male avoid the things that they went through, save a lot of time and money as well, if you will. So we're at Promise. That's our mentoring program. We do mentoring, tutoring, and activities, help expose some of these young guys to things that they've never been exposed to. We have a group of our young men who've never been out of Orangeburg, South Carolina, and that's quite disheartening to me. In Orangeburg County is not that large, but they don't have that exposure that the attorney kids might have. So we're trying to provide some of those opportunities, exposing them to experiences, things that they will always remember. And the hope is with that, if it's done consistently, not just one time, not once a week, not once a month, this has to be done consistently. That's the importance of galvanizing, bringing the parents into the conversations because we can't keep building into our young people and they're going back home to these dysfunctional situations and tearing down what we're trying to develop in them. So it is a hope that the more a young person, especially our young males, have those important tutoring sessions, building their math skills, their reading skills, their writing skills. They have positive males, such as you guys, that are having conversations with them that go beyond the surface once, twice a month. If that can happen 1 to 2 to 3 years, and it's very possible, it is a hope. They graduate from high school with a certificate in welding, machine shop, barbering, that they're not going to desire to want to kill their brother. They're not going to
Yeah.
have the need to join a gang because they've been exposed to different things. They see better, and now they have that innate passion, that intrinsic motivation that they want to aspire to do what they see you doing, what they see the judge doing, what they see their teacher doing. So that's um, that's the goal and the vision, the mission of the rap. We are at Promise. And also, we have these pop up community events
I've seen you
going.
do that.
Hmm. So we're very
But
big.
that's how I know you from bringing your group into the library. Always
Yes,
saw
sir.
you with a
Yes.
group of young men,
Hmm.
doing your thing. That's very
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with that pop out, that's designed to go into the communities on the weekend, provide the fun piece for the children, the bouncy houses, painting faces. When it warms up, we're going to do some water activities there with the children. So that's the fun part for them over there. But then we have these important conversations with these parents. Did you know this? Did you know that? So, how do we start arriving at solutions? Because we have to arrive at a solution. You can't just name something a solution without vetting it, seeing how it worked, who it helped. So, how do we start arriving at solutions? And my strategy to them is you have to start doing things different. You have to become extremely invested in what your child is doing in the home because it starts at home. It starts when that child was in the womb, what they are being exposed to, the words, their environment, the noise, what kind of noise. So many parents, especially single moms, such as what I was for years. Um, and speaking of single moms, just to veer off a little bit, 51% of the children born in Orangeburg County and South Carolina are born to single mothers. So we
Wow.
know single parent households, there are some powerful examples of single moms, but there are some special, unique challenges raising children by yourself. Um, some women don't like to hear me say that, but when you have a man in the house to
Makes a
lead,
difference.
it's better. It's a better setup for us. And if we know half of the children here don't have that, we know that's where the opportunity is. So the community rap pop out events, we go and provide the fun opportunities for the children. And then we have these serious conversations with these parents over here. And sometimes they are invasive. So it's very important to get out in the community and speak and build these relationships with these parents because some of the conversations are very invasive, very intrusive, and sometimes we just get right to it. We've had about three, and we've only went public live with one, but we have a great bit of parents that have signed up, that have promised to get more involved with what's going on in their household with their children. And with the university, we have some special opportunities coming up for parents, some special certifications that are accredited. Um, I'm certified through certain government bodies, organizations. So I am qualified, certified, and verified, if you will, to offer these certifications for parents. One of them, we're going to show parents how to understand how the brain learns,
Okay.
teach them how to understand how their child learns best. It's called brain based learning. They're going to get a very profound view and understanding of the different quadrants of the brain, and it's going to spark something in them because they're going to say, oh, this is why John or Mary,
Right.
those are not the names that we have now, but this is an example of why they do what they do, why they prefer this, why they prefer that. And it's going to help them fortify their homes as, an educational gold mine. So when you are that involved with your child at that level, the molecular level, if you will, you can then help the teachers have an easier time in the classrooms. They won't have to spend 30 minutes of their classroom just trying to make it a learning environment. And then the other 20 or 30 minutes trying to throw something at the child. And then it's time to go on to the next class. So we have some special opportunities coming up for the parents, the brain based learning, academic coaching. They're going to learn how to guide their child through homework, not necessarily knowing the problem, the math problem, but they're going to know how to stage the students' class in the home, if you will, and help them be better learners, help them be more attuned to the teachers, what's going on in the classroom, to help them learn. So it's a lot. Answering the clarion call, that was our awareness galvanizing piece, trying to bring people into the picture that otherwise they're not involved because they don't know to do so. And then we have the RAP, the mentoring program that provides the mentoring, tutoring, writing services. And then that brought us to the Learning Center. I work full time in higher education, and I love what I do. I don't even consider it work sometimes, but trying to answer this call, because this is truly a mission and vision that God has given me. I need to be able to nurture that so that I can really bring it,
Bring it in.
all around. Yeah. So March 31, I am resigning from Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College.
Oh no,
So
that's
yes,
my
sir.
alma mater also. I
Yes,
graduated
so
from
that
there.
I can do this full time. Like we got some things coming, like we don't even have enough time. Y'all just don't even understand how serious this is. And I've been inspired by a lot of people. I'm inspiring other people as well. So it's a lot of space and opportunity out here. The need is great. So I'm open to working with other organizations. I have a list of people who we are already planning and doing some great things together. So yeah, I'm just excited. We're going to, oh God, we're going to be working with parents
Mhm.
exponentially. I'm meeting with another pastor who has a church here in the area. He wants to do some things. And he heard about what I was doing by way of one of my classmates who's in Charlotte,
Mhm.
North Carolina. So the networking has really been positive. The word is getting around.
It definitely,
Um, as you know, Mr. Camus, I
yeah,
often share on Facebook. There's
yeah.
20,000 youth in Orangeburg County under the ages of 18. How's your organization serving them? What are you doing? How can we, provide a deeper reach, going beyond the surface? And we're just excited. We're just excited. So that was a lot. I hope y'all have some questions for me because I didn't even share everything. So please,
Absolutely.
please, some questions.
Let me start by saying this. Wow, very, very, very impressive profile, and it's it just hit me as so honest because of where it come from. You started all the way back in the
Mhm.
'80s and the
Yeah.
'90s with the crack
Mhm.
epidemic, and what it did to Orangeburg in particular, but what it did to
Mhm.
the whole nation. A lot
Mhm.
of people don't even know that Orangeburg exists or even has a history. And
Mhm.
one of the things that myself and Baba Akimo is working on is really like going deep into our deep past
Mhm.
in that county and pulling that to surface so that modern day people can have access to the information from our perspective. You
Absolutely.
know? And so it was great to hear that you gave it a historical context
Mhm.
that was you know, it just showed how things evolved into you having to be this person who would be where you are today, you know, and doing the work of God, serving the community, and keeping the people educated. Orangeburg, to me, is a historical educational hub, no less than Tuskegee or what you call it, Howard, or any other
That's right.
HBCU.
That's right.
In fact, without Orangeburg educational institutions, I don't think South Carolina will be where it's at because of how many Africans were able to get
That's right.
training and education and learn how to read and write and be philosophers and theorists and just go on to do great things to push the state forward and our community, our families forward. So
Hmm.
I really applaud you. I understand the legacy that you're carrying on.
Thank you.
One,
Thank you.
yes, one as a mother, Orangeburg mother, my mother from Orangeburg, um, as a sister queen
Hmm.
that's out there fighting for our boys, and it's so commendable.
Hmm.
There's a few things I want to say in response to what you were saying. It was kind of um, I was in awe listening to you talk because it's the way that you're so on the ground that you can give the intimate detail that
Hmm.
the typical politician can't, the typical
Hmm.
intellectual can't, the
Hmm.
typical even preacher can't, the
Hmm.
typical police officer can't. It just shows that you are boots on the ground
Hmm.
and you're hands on with the people that you love. And so, a few things that you said gave me some context because um, Orangeburg is one of the largest counties in South Carolina.
Hmm.
It used to be a district for 100 years. It was even bigger than that. Aiken, Bamberg, Barnwell, Calhoun, all was part of Orangeburg when it had
Wow.
an
That's
H
right.
in it. And so this place has such a history that has been hidden. I would
Hmm.
say I would say burnt down because I understand what happened when Sherman came through Orangeburg in 1865. A lot of history, a lot of records, a lot of documentation that we need now, even to fight our case for reparations, were burnt
Hmm.
in 1865. So we're revisiting. We the descendants have to now dig up the roots,
Hmm. That's right.
and it's going to expose the structural system of white supremacy in Orangeburg County
Yes.
historically and even today. And I
Yes.
wanted to point that out because as you were talking, that's all I could see. That's all I could see because I know that we're the majority there. I mean, I believe we're over 80% of the
That's right.
population.
Yes.
Um, and to hear that 51% of the children are being coming into single mother households,
That's right.
when you think about that, whose problem is that? Is that white supremacy problem, or is that something that we have to solve? Um, you were saying that even the system, they base all their policies off of just data that they get from other places and then try to apply locally.
That's right.
So I really appreciated that you were saying that you're networking, you're reaching out so you can get the
Hmm.
accurate information,
Hmm.
not the data secondhand,
That's
but the
right.
accurate information and account of the people. Um, that's very commendable as well.
Thank you.
To have 20,000 people under 18
Hmm.
in Orangeburg. Orangeburg is a big county. You said it's a small
Hmm.
county, but
Hmm.
Orangeburg is one of the biggest counties in South Carolina. You have the eastern part of Orangeburg, which is located in the Low Country. You have
Hmm.
the central part of Orangeburg, which is Midland, and you have the east. You have the western part of Orangeburg, which is central Savannah River area.
Hmm.
Orangeburg is the heart
Absolutely.
of that southern South Carolina area. And so, just to see it like that and understand that you're
Hmm.
doing what you have to do, I want to say I do a lot of youth work here as well in Sierra Leone. I did a lot over there as well. And literacy is so big because there's so many adults that can't,
Can't read.
they really can't. They can fake it good, they're functional, but they really can't read at a level of comprehension and evaluation. And it's, literacy is a problem.
Yes.
So I really appreciated that. And then when you talked about that, I thought about how much exposure through your program are you giving the young boys and just the parents that are involved, the communities, the partners,
Hmm.
about the local African American heritage of the actual lineages of people that you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the surname Davis. That name is familiar to me because I see it all the time in my family tree.
Wow.
So you see, so it's like people learning who they are and digging back into the roots. Because one thing I know about Orangeburg is known for powerful black women.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I know. I know that we were released from plantations, and without powerful black women, we would have not been able to form those congregations. We would have had no educators. We would have had no caregivers. We would have had no midwives. We would have
Speak
had none
on
of that.
it.
So I understand it. And like I said, part of this show is to expose hidden parts of our heritage and our culture, as
Yes.
well as figures like yourself who are doing great work there in Orangeburg. So I guess my question is now, um, locally in Orangeburg, who are some of the women
Mm-hmm.
who inspired you to go along this same similar path in terms of being that grassroots queen mother to the boys and to the girls and just caring about everybody at a certain level?
Mm-hmm.
Who were some of your local inspirations?
Well, one of my first local inspirations was my grandmother, Janie Haynes, Janie Goodley Haynes, who I think she had up to like a sixth or seventh grade education. Janie Haynes. And she was such a great reader and such a great speaker.
Mm,
And guess what? I didn't realize how great of a reader and speaker she was until I got older, and until after she passed in 2009. But what I remember is her coming to the house daily when my grandfather went out to work or went to fish or did whatever he did. She would get to the table in the Bible. She would read it from start to end. And I watched her do that. It took her a while, but I watched her do that at least two or three times. She was
mm,
such a good reader. And many people wouldn't think that because they didn't have, the fancy education opportunities that we have opportunities for, but she paved the way for what she did. And then she spoke so well. Um she didn't speak a lot. She didn't like to be in the spotlight, but when she spoke, it was powerful, succinct,
mm,
and it hit. It didn't
mm.
take long. So she was one of my first um inspirations, if we're talking about ladies. And then um one of our daycare workers, I was coming up, Miss Betty Smith. Um, wasn't very vocal, but was just powerful in what she was doing. Running her daycare, running her school from her house while her husband was out doing things. And when I think about local women that inspire me, we have a program coming up called To the Least of Them, where it's going to give opportunities to women to share the great things that they do who may have been looked over because they're not a lawyer or an attorney or a doctor. And I keep saying that there's nothing wrong with doctors and attorneys because we certainly need those. But there's so many other powerful stories that women don't have the opportunity to share because they're left out. They're not
Right.
part of the fake elite, is what I often call them. So I think of absolutely, of another powerful young lady here. She's very consistent, always encouraging. She's a prolific writer as well. We're going to be honoring and celebrating her. Her name is Miss Veronica Butler. She lives here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And just going outside of Orangeburg, if you will, Fannie Lou Hamer. I'm
Yes.
just coming into the knowledge of how powerful her story is
Oh
and
yes.
was, how they tried to keep her quiet, but she was persistent. It wasn't no stopping her. And
Exactly.
a few of my colleagues have said they see a little, maybe a little Fannie Lou Hamer inside me. Um, but yeah, powerful examples. Females, we're out here working, trying to do what we do, and I'm always careful to say, I know I can't raise a child or even probably stare a child like a male would, but until enough of our brothers are here joining us, leading the way, I'm just doing what I can to, bring as much positivity and, things that are going to help uplift people out of the ruts that they're in as possible.
Right, right.
Yes,
You're
sir.
laying the foundation. You're doing it well.
Yes, sir.
Baba,
What's that?
to the other floor, brother.
Miss Hazel, I'm proud of you, Miss Hazel. I see you around town doing your thing, and
Thank you. Thank you.
I just have one question for you, and well, you pretty much answered all my questions, but I do have one question.
Mhm.
Where do you see the school at, like 5, 10 years down the road?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 5, 10 years down the road. So, the Clarion Call, on my book cover, it has birth in Orangeburg, South Carolina.
Okay.
So, but I am called to other places. So I spent last year and I will be spending the rest of this year, like setting up the infrastructure, the structure, the blueprint, if you will, here in Orangeburg County. So after, I think that I have reached enough individuals, enough of our parents, enough of our young people, and things are systematically and organically occurring. Um, I want to be able to go to other cities, to other states, and help trying to bring this together where we are speaking some of the same languages, we're doing some of the same things, and maybe having that culminated with a special day during the year, such as the month of June, Juneteenth, or
Yeah,
Black History in February, or we create one because we are Black History 365.
Yes.
right.
So 5 or 10 years, I really want the center to be, not even an excitable thing that's happening. I just want it to be the norm.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that's part of that awareness and galvanizing and mobilizing right here in Orangeburg County. And I see myself working with other, the powers that be, trying to do, having it a urban community education center in Charlotte, in Detroit, Michigan. I cannot wait to get up there to Detroit, Michigan. Oh man, I can't wait. Um, so yeah, we want to be in other areas of the country, and maybe someday even international. Over in
right.
Africa, I mean, I would really have to come out of myself to ride a plane for that long to get over there. But yeah, I'm so excited. Y'all just don't even know what's really about to happen. All I can do now is try to pace myself. Don't get too hyper. I'm naturally hyper,
Yeah,
excitable,
all good.
and try to make this happen for as many young people as possible, as
Right.
many as possible.
So let me ask you this. Like I'm down. I'm 100% down. I was actually born in Pennsylvania and raised there, but spent every summer up until I was like 15, 16
Wow.
visiting Orangeburg. So even though I was born in Pennsylvania, Orangeburg was home.
Wow.
So, that's where my mama from, five of my elder siblings, everything, right? So I guess what I want to know is like, because Baba just hit you with the $1 million question.
Hmm.
What is the vision? Um, how can we play a part? Like I'm all the way here in Africa. Baba is there on the ground. But when you take Orangeburg and you look at let me say the Orangeburg diaspora, the people from Orangeburg that you'll find all around.
Hmm.
Um, how can we reach out to those people and get them involved in prioritizing what you got going on there and others right there in Orangeburg? Bring our diaspora back to the fore. You talked about Juneteenth
Hmm.
would be a very, very powerful day to
Hmm.
do like an Orangeburg Black reunion.
Hmm.
Let everybody come home so everybody can see what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
and get
Mm-hmm.
connected with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very important. So I wanted to ask you, um, in doing that, do you think that's something that would be possible? Maybe a festival, or I know we used to have fairs and everything down there in
Mm-hmm.
Orangeburg, agricultural fairs.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of farming projects here. The youth love farming in Africa. We should make them love farming there too, and not see it affiliated only with slavery, because that land in Orangeburg was conquered and colonized by the Europeans because of how
Mm-hmm.
rich the soil is.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have access to it, and we're 80% of the population in the county,
Mm-hmm.
then we should be doing some farming, and we should be producing some food, and we should
Mm-hmm.
be creating some jobs, and things like that. Really turning Orangeburg small population and using that education and turn it into a tech hub, an agricultural tech hub. I mean, that's what it seems like the ground is already laid out for.
Yes, that's right. That's
So,
right.
how do you see agriculture, our history, maybe a festival
Mm-hmm.
around Juneteenth? Because Juneteenth would be perfect,
Listen,
perfect.
um, like the first thing is awareness, and I keep honing in on awareness because in order for things to happen differently, you got to first have the right mindset. So, organizations such as yours and mine, we're covering a lot of ground, but we still have a lot more to go. And when we change the mindsets, that's what's so important with getting with these parents. The mindsets, instead of giving most of your attention and your leisure and your free time, over here, we need to bring it over here because this is what is going to last. This is what's going to help stem the tide, turn the tables, if you will. So, like what you all are doing, what you guys are doing, I cannot wait to have a room full of parents and young black boys and girls and have you all do maybe like a 3-4 session series on what it is that you do and why it is you do what you do. So when we start bringing I just think about my community in St. Paul Apartments in Roosevelt.
Yes.
Roosevelt Gardens has 187 buildings that they're about 80% full. When you can start getting into those households, showing the parents, hey, we need to be working over here in this area. I know you got this going on. You're gonna have your turn up and your parties. But can I introduce you to this? And the more that happens, the more it starts to connect house to house, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood. Then when you have 40 to 50% of the population given attention to this intentionally with specificity, then I think some of those goals and that the vision that we're talking about, it can happen. The festivals. There was a Juneteenth celebration here in Orangeburg County last year. There was nobody out there but the vendors. And that's because of, you know, we're speaking positive, but there is a degree of segregation here in Orangeburg County. And I'm not talking about with white people. We are very segregated here in Orangeburg County. You will have five people trying to do the same thing instead of coming together.
Right.
And I saw that last year with the Juneteenth celebration here. It was very, very spotty. Um, the one right down the road, not too far in Augusta, Georgia, it was like a Mardi Gras.
A lot of
They had the
people.
festivals, they had the culture, a real Juneteenth
Yes.
celebration. So, I've already got some plans for Juneteenth for this year. We're doing a spelling bee with some of our young people um, to really educate them on Juneteenth. So by the time they study and spell these words, they're going to have a high level of understanding of what they things they didn't know before.
Right.
So I think that that would be so awesome. But to make these things happen, we gotta change mindsets.
Yeah.
And I hate to use the word ghetto, because I was once a part of the ghetto, and I still have a little ghetto in me. If you catch me on the wrong day.
Nighttime.
Yes.
Yes.
I still have it. I still have it. But when we change these mindsets, and the way that you change it is by doing things that we're doing right now, like what you guys are doing should be brought to the nation, a nationwide microphone, if you will. So I'm certainly going to share as much as I can with the people that I deal with. But Orangeburg County, bringing some of these politicians in. We have a black mayor, we have a black sheriff, we have a black chief of police. Probably 70-80% of the council board is African American.
That's right.
um, but you don't hear these type conversations from them, at least publicly, as well. And that really irritates me to a certain degree, because I think your leadership should be responsive to the people, the majority of the people that you serve. And if you don't even talk to these people, but when it's time for you to get elected, your leadership cannot be responsive to these people, because you don't even have these type conversations with them. And
Exactly.
that really, really triggers something inside of me. So I'm gonna stop right there with that. But I think that's the best way to bring, what you're sharing in some of these visions that are needed and very important, for our trajectory, for these things to manifest. You have to have, these type of actions to
Oh
bring
yeah.
everyone into the know.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can count us in. We represent the Gullah Nation of North America. We do a lot of work, but you can definitely count us in, especially when, you need a brother to come in and talk some sense to the
Hmm.
youngins and give them some
Yes,
inspiration.
yes.
I know Baba is always there on the ground, but at the same time, we're the brothers. We have brothers around us too, and
Hmm.
Yeah.
we have
Not just us. We have other
it's
people.
not just us.
Hmm.
We have to be able to say, hey, these kids need to know how to paint. Hey, these kids need
Hmm.
to know how to build a house. Hey, these,
Hmm.
you're going to teach them this and you're going to teach them that. Someone has to organize and arrange the men as well, because it's not just your burden. It's not just
Hmm.
your weight to carry. And the way it plays out ultimately is us supporting each other at first, of course, but then we
Yes.
can definitely get into some activity together moving forward. Someone here says, how can we further bridge the gap between Orangeburg and Sierra Leone on common initiatives?
Initiatives.
Um, that's a good question because we were
Hmm.
just talking about the farming um, and just the land. And just yesterday, we just kicked off our fundraiser here on the
Hmm.
ground. We actually do a farmers assistance program. We raise resources. We go out. We meet the chiefs. We meet the elders. We meet the farmers. We negotiate with them. We broker a partnership with them, and then we basically sponsor them. We assist them with resources. We also there to consult them and help them understand marketing and just improve their food security
Cool.
because it's a big problem here. And it's a big problem in America too, but we don't know because of the superstores, the
Hmm.
supermarkets and all that.
Hmm.
Food insecurity is a problem. If the grocery stores close today, we hungry all over Orangeburg
That's
because
right.
we don't stop farming.
That's right.
And so maybe, that kind of thing, because here you will see the elder woman, the young man, you'll see the small babies, sometimes
Hmm.
strapped to their back or sometimes right down there planting the
They're
seed with
working.
and it keeps the whole community united, at least around one seasonal activity.
Hmm.
I think that would be an awesome way as well because it's impossible for us to be proud and take pride in who we are as Orangeburg descendants,
Hmm.
and not take value in farming, not take value in it. It's just that sometimes we say, nobody wants to farm. That was slavery days. But right
No,
now we can't feed ourselves.
that's right.
Right now we're not growing the herbs and things that we can use to treat ourselves. We're taking pharmaceuticals. You know, when
Yeah.
it is Thanksgiving time, and we want to practice a holiday, a national holiday, we have to go and spend all that food money with somebody else.
That's right. Wow. Wow.
So these are economics. This is
Mhm.
cooperative economics because farming is the number one source of primitive capital. When you can pull money from nature and empower
Mhm.
communities through that,
Mhm.
then then you can start talking about some real sustainable intergenerational wealth. So I always pitch out the farming for the person who
Okay.
asked this question. I think farming would be dope for us to work on, especially with the young kids.
Mhm.
But what do you think? Because
We we're
we also do tourism as well. Sorry, you talked about
okay.
travel. We do
Okay.
tourism as well. We do mission trips. We do medical mission trips, educational mission trips. It would be nice to do even like some what do you call it, rites of passage
Mhm. That's right.
together
Rites
because
of passage.
yeah, we have children the age of your children here as well. You know, so I'm sorry for cutting you off, but yeah,
Yeah, no problem at all. Wow, I'm just so my mind is everywhere. A young lady from Charlotte, North Carolina, she has an organization, Exquisite Queens for Life, and she was at our opening, our launch last week. And we're planning to do something with farming. She has a connection in Charlotte. Over the summer, we're going to try to get 20 to 25 males and girls, females and males up there. But closing the gap, bringing together with the farming, we just need to make it happen. Invite the parents to a conversation. Let them know, what we're trying to do, um, why we think they should be involved. And then the next conversation is when and where and how, making that happen and being very intentional about when we do it, the dates, for a bigger impact, to have a big impact as possible. But I'm absolutely excited about that. I love it.
yes,
I love the concept,
yeah,
and it's definitely can touch a lot of bases, take care of a lot of things.
yeah. Thank you.
Now,
About
also, Sierra Sierra Leone.
yeah,
I've
Sierra
never
Leone.
heard of Sierra Leone until now. I'm definitely going to be doing some research when we hang up.
Yes,
Um, can you share how you got where you are, please?
yeah, absolutely. Sierra Leone is a small country in West Africa. I was born in Pennsylvania. I lived in Greenville, South Carolina. Very familiar with Orangeburg.
Mhm.
Lived in Tampa, Florida. Lived around the country actually.
Okay.
But I was a community organizer originally. But like yourself, you start to peel back the layers of
Yeah.
deception, and then you have to develop a political consciousness. Even if you're not a politician, you have to
Mhm.
understand how the
Mhm.
power moves.
Mhm.
And so for me, I ultimately evolved a black nationalist political ideology. I became more of a Pan Africanist than any kind of American patriot. And it led me to reaching out and doing work with international people. I connected with Sierra Leoneans in Philadelphia, actually, and maintained a relationship. Eventually, I was requested, invited to come over because of the skill set that I had and some of the needs of what the movement needed here in Sierra Leone. But beyond that, um, I'm a Gullah Geechee. My people who's come from down that low country, just like most
Mhm.
people in Orangeburg. Some would put us out of the low country, but it's not true. We share the same culture and the same linguistic heritage as the people in the low country. So we claim it, we represent it, we Gullahs,
Okay.
and the Gullah Geechee people have a very strong relationship and connection to Sierra Leone because many of our ancestors were brought to Charleston from directly
Mhm.
Sierra
That's right.
Leone because of the rice. You see, Europeans had no knowledge of rice. They were introduced to rice in West Africa. And so they needed the West Africans who grew the rice to create the rice industry that ultimately gave birth to South Carolina's
Mhm.
economy.
Okay.
And so our ancestors being some of the earliest, the only thing that happened is that in the early 1700s, when they opened up Orangeburg Township and all that, the district, was that the people who lived in the low country just grabbed their Africans and their families and just went to Orangeburg.
Mhm.
And a lot
Wow.
of
People
people,
found relatives.
yeah, and a lot of other people also came over from Europe directly, but the African base was either coming directly from Africa, the Caribbeans, or was born right there in South Carolina anyway. So we was creating a culture. So I grew up with my mother saying, "We Geechee, boy," and people calling her Geechee. People calling us Geechee because of the way she talked and the way we live. Our aspect, we root working and understanding this kind of ideals. And always people seeing us travel down south. They kind of threw that label on us anyway. But growing up, learning about it, and knowing that Freetown, Sierra Leone, where I live, is the first repatriation resettlement community ever created by any African from the diaspora in world history, and the mass majority of them came from South Carolina. Okay. So it's a lot that connects us to this country. Our blood connects us to this country. Me and Baba Kimo have been able to meet a cousin who was born here, raised here, knows her village, her family. And so it's a very intimate connection between blood, culture, even the language. The language here in this country is Creole. It's very similar to what they call na Gullah Geechee no more. Now the same way where we can talk. So it's the same language because the same people who came here talking that language when they founded this city. And ultimately they influenced the rest of the cultures to where now it's the national lingua franca. Everybody speaks Creole, which is a derivative of Gullah Geechee language that came from them same plantations over there. So there's a very deep and profound relationship between the two countries. I've lived here for 10 years. I love it. And one of the things I love about it is being able to connect back with my homeland, Orangeburg. Orangeburg is home. Being able to have you on the show, being able to have this show with Baba Kimo. And even though it's Orangeburg, we showing the world, what it is we got. And we're not just limited to Orangeburg. Last week we had, the last show we had Brother Professor Damon Fordham from down in Charleston. And, the next show we're going to have a brother from Aiken. And then the next show we're going to have a sister from Charleston. So we're just expanding the lenses so that people can start to see that we really got workers out here. Like you said, we got modern day Fannie Lou Hamers out here.
That's right. That's right.
We out here right now. The struggle may be different. It may not be civil rights, but it's still for the lives of our people.
That's right.
It's
Absolutely.
Still for the struggle. And so I commend you. I commend you very seriously.
Thank you.
And do you have any last statement? I believe we have about 3 minutes, but any last
yes,
words?
something just really jumped out at me. Part of that clarion call is to the Black church. So I think someone asked earlier, how can we close the gap? The churches have to get involved.
Yes.
We have about 100 churches here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. If I want to exaggerate, I'd say 250. It's very predictable. The church, I grew up in the Black church, but it's so predictable. And it's just opportunities that we can take advantage of. It's a little hot in here. The buildings are shut 5 days a week. If we can open these doors up and have these types of conversations and lessons in history, if you will, I think that can help close these gaps. And I just look forward to working with Mr. Camus and getting you all to come and speak to a room of people. I've already seen it. I'm so excited. I just want a room full of parents and their young people coming with questions, and I want you all to just flow and enlighten them, not just once, maybe 2 or 3 times, till we start to, kind of like, not think like you or not think like me, but tap into their own awareness and ability and getting them to see the light, if you will.
No doubt. Well, I like your style, sis. So just know that we're going to rock it out.
Thank you. This has been so awesome. Thank you, Mr. Gas, Mr. Kumu. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, believe me, I'm so glad we had this opportunity to speak to you, and you know where to reach me at. You know where I'm at.
Yes, sir.
So you can catch me anytime.
Absolutely.
You can reach out, and I'll be glad to do whatever I can do.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, family. So there concludes the second episode of Gullah House Show with the beautiful, intelligent,
Thank you.
Dr. Celestio Davis, straight out
Davis. Yes, sir.
of South Carolina. Don't get it messed up. Call it the
Yes.
bird. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So we're gonna represent this. We're gonna continue to move forward. And sister, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I wish you success in your every endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Y'all have a blessed one.
Peace.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.